Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Techgig webinar series. Our topic for today's session is PMI Project Management Leadership Series, Pull Planning, Lean and Kanban. And we have with us today Mr. Saket Bansal. He is the founder director, Eyes and Bridge Consultancy Private Limited. Saket is one of the leading agile trainers in India. He has successfully delivered lectures on project management, Scrum and Agile to professionals from varied industries and supervised them in how to reshape their career with Agile. He is a software product development and management professional with an experience of over 15 years to back with. With strong IT base, he has imparted PMP, PMI-ACP Agile training to professionals over the past few years in major cities. The questions that we are going to cover mostly during the session today will be around why do we need pull-based planning? How can we put pull-based planning in action? What are the lean software development principles and what is Kanban and how it gets implemented? We will be also launching a couple of poll questions in the course of today's webinar session, and as a normal practice that we follow, we will open up the session during the last 15 minutes for a quick round of Q&A. However, Saket would want to take questions also throughout the session, so request all the attendees to start sending questions as soon as the session starts, and I'll be sending the relevant ones to Saket. So without any further delay, I now hand over the session to Saket. Saket, I'll now make you the presenter.
Okay.
I hope you have received the prompt on your screen, Saket.
Yes, I'm just showing it. Just a sec, it should be coming from the first screen. It's just refreshing the audience view. I think now you have a refreshed view.
Yes, I can see your first slide right now.
Yeah, thanks Shilanga for the introduction. And as a project manager, we always start with a plan. So for this session also, friends, we have a plan. We have 3 segments which I would be covering throughout in the next 1 hour. We will talk about push and pull scheduling in the first segment. Each segment is followed by a Q&A breaks. So as Shilanga said, whenever you get a query, you keep typing them, keep sending us, and I will take them during the break. You got an opportunity to know me, but I also want to know a bit about you, and through a web kind of session it becomes a bit difficult. So I just want to know one thing from you, that how many of you are familiar with Agile methodology or working with Agile based projects. So Shilanga, can you please just launch the first poll where they can select the option related to Agile?
Yeah, I'm just launching the first poll. Okay, the question is now visible on the screen, Saket, along with the multiple choice answers.
Yeah. So just select, like if you are working with Agile, just select yes. If you are not, let us know, because that will help me to organize my remaining session a bit better, so I know a bit about you.
Correct. In fact, let us keep the poll open for another 5-7 seconds. I think we have received the answers more or less. All right, I'll close the session now. And
okay.
So the answers that we got, 67% of our attendees say yes, they are using Agile, and 34% they're saying no.
Good. So since many of you are already using Agile, you will find this session quite informative or quite refreshing your fundamentals related to pull-based scheduling. So without further talking about just an agenda, let us get into what is this push-pull scheduling is all about. Now, the problem with us as an organization is that whenever our people, workforce reaches to an office, we need to tell them there should be some mechanism by which they can know what they have to do on that particular day. If we don't have a clear system to communicate what is expected from them, they will spend time here and there in figuring it out. So to solve this particular problem, we can follow 2 approaches. The approach one is, which we have been following traditionally, is that we have a detailed work instruction. We make a detailed list of activities and provide to our workforce that you have to do this task by this much time. The other second possibility could be that we have list of work visible to them. So you can think like a packaging floor where they know that these many orders or goods has there in their inventory. They just need to pack them and start dispatching as they have a capacity available. And this is how these two schedulings are a bit different. The first one is a push-based scheduling, where we are telling our workforce what they have to work on. The second one is a pull-based scheduling, where a workforce is picking the work as and when they have a capacity available. Now, with the push-based scheduling, many of you might be working as a project manager or a project leader and must be working with various critical path tools. So we try to identify in our push scheduling techniques a list of activities and their related sequence. We create a critical path diagram where we plot them on the basis of dependencies. We calculate the early start dates of each and every activity, and we project what a given person would be working on after 10 days or after 5 days. So by this, we provide them a visibility for their work. Now, the problem with this type of scheduling is that you must be knowing that no plan survives with contact with enemy. So as you start working on, the reality will give you some surprises. Now, these surprises may vary. If you are working in very dynamic and unpredictable environment, you may get too many surprises. If you are working in a predictive based environment where you know that how the steps should be followed, you may get less surprises. But irrespective of type of schedule or type of industry you are working in, but you will get some surprises. Now, for example, in the previous critical path, I was showing that the testing will happen once I am done with feature 1 and development of feature 1 and feature 2. There may be a case that feature 2 is facing some issue or some details are not available, and these two things cannot be tested together. Now your workforce will remain confused till the time you give them the modified instruction, you as a project manager. So in a push-based scheduling, whenever the workforce faces uncertainty, they look towards a manager to provide and modified instructions. Now, the previous plan, whenever we start a project scheduling, we prepare a project management plan on the basis of given assumptions. So, on the basis of that time assumptions or old assumptions, we have created a schedule which was optimized. We have looked at resource leveling. We have tried to give the best possible shortest time frame for a given project. But as we get these uncertain environment, as we get these new requests, as a project manager, it is expected from us is that we will do a replanning. We will put these conditions again back in our schedule, and we'll check the various possible scenarios, and on the basis of optimum solution, we will communicate back the information or the next step to our team members who is facing this uncertainty. But if we start doing all this, if we start integrating each and every uncertainty into our master project plan, we may not be able to provide that instruction in a short time to our workforce, and they may remain waiting for long before we can come up with a possible plan of action. So what we usually do, all project managers, we use our personal experience. We decide on the basis of our own feelings, on the basis of our own experience and guide. We provide them some solution. Okay, leave this work, now let us take this task and move forward. So this keeps happening. Shilanga, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Saket.
Okay, just I got a message that network difficulty, so I'm just switching off the video.
Yeah, I think that might be taking up the bandwidth.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as I said that when we do a replanning as a project manager, we hardly get a time to do the detailed replanning in our project plan, and we provide the inputs on the basis of our own experience. Now, the second alternative to providing a instruction to a workforce for a given particular day is a pull-based scheduling. In a pull-based scheduling or in a pull-based system, we try to make our work visible. So whenever people reaches to the office, they can see what all the pending items are lying there, and if they have a capacity, they can pick the item and deliver it. If they face an issue, they can figure out what the next item they can pick it. Now, thinking production system, the Toyota's thinking production system, and they recommend a pull-based system because they believe that push-based scheduling gives a very little opportunity to the workers to get some wisdom. Because in a push-based scheduling, they keep looking towards a manager for modified instructions. So whenever they have an issue, they just look at the manager. So they don't think on their own that what kind of possible solutions they can put and get the things working. In pull-based system, worker is getting good amount of freedom for the given work. Whenever they are picking the work, they can also figure it out what alternative they can apply if a given task is not working. Now, how does it work? You may start with a planning meeting. So project manager or other leaders along with the team, you may do a scheduling meeting where you identify what all work is required to be done in a given duration. On the basis of that scheduling meeting, you may come up with a collection of tasks, and these tasks can be looked as a ticket item or a Kanban item or a cards. Now these cards can be stacked, and now from your team, you expect that they will keep picking the card and start doing the work as per the given workflow. If they face any problem, they may hold a one task and pick up a next from the inventory or from the pending list which they have. They don't need to be communicating again and again to the manager in order to know what needs to be done when they face any uncertainty. Because manager has not only given them a one instruction, manager has made the task or a work visible to them, and now as per the conditions, they can take the work whenever they have an inventory available. So pull-based system also reduces day-to-day interaction or monitoring and controlling work from a manager. Now we can take the questions which were for this segment. In this particular segment, we spoke about just the basics of push and pull scheduling. In the next segment, we will talk about the implementation of this push and pull scheduling in a software development projects. And I also have one poll where I want to know that how well your schedule reflect the reality. So Shilanga, you can launch the poll until the time I can look at the questions.
Sure, I am just launching the poll now. The question should be visible on the screen for all the attendees.
Yeah. Okay, so till the time you are selecting the poll options, I am just reading few questions which we have received till now. Now, resource challenge is the trend of the industry, and because the question is talking about that because of the changing business environment, and the attendees is asking that how can a Kanban kind of thing can work when my engineer is assigned to multiple projects. Now, we will see that how this thing should be implemented in software development industry or in any project development industry. But the Lean strongly opposes a fractional assignment. It talks about that rather than assigning a one person on multiple things, we should keep work in progress to the minimum, and we should keep finishing the things faster. So if your management style, if your scheduling style is like this, where you are allocating a one person on a multiple projects at the same time, and the project nature is quite different, it is kind of an against the Lean principle, because we talk about the why it is like this, why we don't recommend a fractional assignment. When person is working on a project A, he would be working on with one mindset. Whenever he take the project B task, he needs some initialization and time. And if he keeps switching the focus multiple times in a day, the initialization time is kind of a waste. It is not adding direct value to the business. Still, the flow which we will be discussing in second segment may give you some idea, and then we can take the follow-up question after the segment 2. Now the
Okay.
second question is coming, is not the team member maturity an assumption in the pull-based scheduling? Yeah. Now when we talk about a pull-based scheduling, yes, we do expect team to be mature enough. Now in the second segment we talk about the lean principle, and there is a one critical lean principle is where we believe and trust people. We don't think that people want to avoid work. Our primary factor is, our primary base of this lean and agile development is that people are here to work. They really want to contribute. The only problem which they are facing is that they are confused. They are lacking the direction and goal, and that is why they are not able to produce the exceptional result which they could produce. So we need to create that motivated team before such environment can work. Another question is that how push or pull scheduling is related to agile. So that part would be covered in segment 2. We will see that the Scrum based development or an agile based development or Kanban based development, they primarily uses the pull based scheduling because we don't make the detailed project plan. We do things progressively, and that is how the pull based scheduling is related to agile. What is the motivation factor in pull-based mechanisms? There's another question, that what is the motivation factor in pull-based mechanism? Now, the motivation factor could be that you, as a group, how many tasks or how many work item you are delivering. So, just to give a simple example, for example, you are running a dispatch group where you get the finished good and you just need to dispatch it to the customers on the basis after doing the packaging. So your work is primarily related to the packaging. So your efficiency of packaging is driven by that how many work items or products you package in a given day. So those kind of efficiency or cycle time can provide an input to judge or to improve the performance of a given group. Now, how this given group performance get converted into an individual performance, that an organization can figure it out. The biggest motivation in a pull system is that nobody is instructing you too much. Say in a push-based schedule, you are expected to work as per the instruction of your project manager. In a pull-based scheduling, you are getting a fair freedom to identify how you want to implement or finish your work. Now, definitely this freedom comes with a responsibility or as well as an accountability, but this is also a motivation factor where you are not just a bare executor and your manager is not micromanaging you. He is giving you a freedom to organize your work. So that can also work as a motivator for people who are working in the pull-based environment.
So
what was the
Saket,
result of PullScheduling?
yeah, here are the results. 4% says always, 55% is they're saying most of the time, 44% rarely, and around 5% say they are saying never.
Okay, so why I pushed this particular poll is that usually whenever we have long duration project, maintaining the schedule always in sync with reality is a challenge. And it is not only that the project managers are not capable of doing it, or the tool is not capable of doing it, but the situations are so dynamic. Providing a detailed instruction and providing a critical path till the end of the project is quite difficult. It's always difficult to schedule or tell someone that you would be doing activity B after 3 months. Because during these 3 months, the person may change, you may have a different requirement, and you may have a different environment to deal with. So let's go through the segment 2, and then we can have a consolidated Q&A break, which could be the longer than this one. Now, before I move forward, like some of the questions which we got is that how this pull-based thing is linked with agile, or how this thing is linked with lean. and lean has very much like a problem with waste. So the first principle of lean is about eliminating waste. It, it talks about that whatever you are doing, so in order to deliver a value to your end customer, you might be doing 10 activities in your value chain. And out of these 10 activities, there could be many activities which you are just doing because your given process is talking about it, but they are not adding value to the end result which you are producing. So the first principle of lean software development talks about that identify these wasteful activities, whatever you are doing which is not adding value to the final product of customer is a wasteful activity, try to eliminate that. The second lean principle is about build quality in. This principle talks about that rather than doing an inspection of your work item, do a preventive things. Design your process in a way that whatever you produce has an inbuilt quality. So less on building quality inside the process rather than ensuring quality by doing an inspection. Less towards inspection. The third principle talks about create knowledge. Good amount of time we as a software professional spend in relearning something which has been learned by either some other team member or by some other project team. So this relearning is also represented as a waste item in lean principles, and it talks about that we should have some mechanism of creating a knowledge base. So we should learn as we move forward. We should learn about the system, we should learn about our product, we should learn about our customer behavior, and we should preserve that learning so that we don't spend time relearning the same thing again and again. Now the fourth principle, which many of you may find quite interesting, is deferred commitment. Now traditionally we have been taught that we should keep thinking about future. To be assignment to be made today. So delay the things as much time without negatively impacting your project. Why are you delaying it? Why are you delaying this particular assignment? Because during this 2.5 months, maybe the last responsible movement for 3-month assignment could be 15 days ahead of the date. During this 2.5 months, you may learn about many things about the person, about the system, about the environment, and after this 2.5 months, whatever decision you make about the third month work, it would be more informed and more intelligent. And you are not getting anything by making this forecast today. Rather, you definitely have to rework on this particular forecast as you reach to your third month. The fifth principle, which is most of being the small batch size. Lean Agile will not bring some magic and we will start producing twice the amount of work which we have been doing today. It's all about slicing the work. So we need, yeah.
Saket, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think there's some problem at your end because there's a very good amount of call drop from your side in the past 5 minutes or so.
Drops are coming?
Yeah, as in you're not completely audible. So the call is getting dropped in between. So just make sure that all the web browsers are shut off at the present moment, and you're just using the GoToMeeting control panel as of now and your PPT.
Okay. So was the complete content were understandable, or should I repeat a bit?
Ideally you should, because I think there was a disconnect. I could not hear. I'm not sure if others could. Maybe if you could go back and take them through the entire, maybe from the very beginning of this particular slide, wherever you started.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. So I will also go a bit slow. Maybe that is also creating the problem. So a 7th principle of lean software development. And here we talk about a first principle where we talk about eliminating waste. So lean has a problem with waste, and the lean recommends that we need to analyze all our activities and need to categorize them. Are they adding value to our end customer? If they are not adding value to our end customer outcome, then they are possibly a candidate for a waste. The second lean principle talks about build quality in, where we focus on building quality inside the process, inbuilt in the process rather than inspecting it after developing something. The third principle is all about create knowledge. This principle talks about that a good amount of time we as a professional spend in relearning something which somebody else has learned before. So we should have some mechanism of inventorizing and reusing our knowledge. The fourth principle, which is a deferred commitment, which is an interesting principle because from a long time we have been thinking about forecasting things in advance. Now the deferred commitment talks about that do the things at last responsible moment. Means don't commit to a requirement, don't commit to a schedule till the time it is not negatively impacting you. Means if you have to do something after 3 months, it's not necessary to commit or make the detailed activity for that particular task today. You may do it 15 days in advance, because in next 2.5 months you may explore more about the given problem. The next one is deliver fast. So keep your batch size small. Rather than working on a big item and creating in-process inventory, you should work on a small items and keep delivering those small items frequently to the end customer. The sixth lean principle is all about respect people. So we got some queries related to respect people, that how do we ensure that people are mature enough to pick the work. Now this principle talks about that in general people are there to work. They really want to work if they get the right direction and they get the freedom of how part of identifying their work. The final one, the seventh lean principle, talks about optimize the whole. Now this principle talks about rather than only focusing on pocket of improvement, like we only focus on how to improve the development process, we should focus on end-to-end delivery. Because if we only improve the development process, we may bring a bottleneck at a testing process, or we may bring a bottleneck at a deployment process. So we need to ensure that not only a given process is optimized, but our end-to-end delivery, our complete value stream is optimized. Now, few of you asked about that how this thing is related with Agile or Kanban or Scrum. Now here I am trying to map that how this thing can be used in Agile or in any software development project. So here I am taking an assumption where I have set of requirement, means there could be two type of software work which we might be doing using this type of mechanism. One type of project or an activities could be where we have a complete flow of work, like things keeps coming in and we keep serving them, so kind of a production support system. But here in this example I am taking a case where we have a product backlog, a list of requirement which we need to produce in a given duration, maybe in given iteration. So the first thing we can do is the way I explained in the photograph before, that we do a planning meeting where a team member and a project manager and a business people can come together and identify which set of features they want to develop in a next iteration or in a next duration. So just for a simplicity's sake, you can think of that we are doing our monthly planning. So on a day 1, we are trying to identify that out of our backlog of work, which all things are the one which we should finish in a given month. So that's the first thing. Now we also need to visualize our workflow. We need to identify that our task goes through how many stages before they deliver a value to the customer or before we mark them ready for the shipment. So we visualize the workflow. In this particular diagram, I have visualized only 2 stages, like development and testing, and after that it is ready for the dispatch, so it is done. You may have multiple stages in your workflow. The other thing which is kind of related with when the question was coming, that if you have a multiple projects, then how can we implement such kind of an environment? Now the other thing which you have to do is, at each stage you need to fix WIP limits. What does it mean? Work in progress limits. It could be visualized as, for example, if you go for a car service, and at various stages of your car service, the servicing company will be having a limited infrastructure. For example, at a given point of time, only 10 cars can be washed. Only 5 cars can be checked for wheel alignment. Now, if you have a more car, you need to wait. And if they don't have a capacity to serve, they may stop taking the new car for the service. So similar way, you can visualize that as an organization, as in a team, we need to agree on how many items a development team can take in process at a given point of time. So that could be a slots. So we can visualize as a possible available slots, and if you have available capacity, then only you will pick it work from the previous stage. So this is how we do a scheduling as well as managing multiple things. Now, how do we monitor this particular progress? We monitor the complete cycle time. We monitor that how much time this process is taking, and are we improving in this particular cycle time month on month. Since we are talking about various stages, like work will move from stage 1 to stage 2 and stage 3, we also need to have an explicit policies that when can I say that this particular feature is ready for development, or I am done with the development. So at each workflow stage, we would be having defined policy that when can I move this particular item to the next level. So in a simple language, we have a big work item. We take a slice of that work item, and these small slices we put in our factory or a development floor. And development floor is always aware that these slices have to go through 3 steps before a consumer can use it. And for these steps, all these 3 steps, you have a specialized unit who takes care of this area. And every unit is aware of what they have to do when things passes from one stage to another. So that is could be a simplified explanation of this pull-based scheduling for software development projects. Now, airport is a perfect example of pull-based scheduling. Now, when you go to an airport, when you reach to a airline counter, you get a boarding card. This boarding card will take you through the complete process. And at whatever stage you are, is the security is done, is the immigration is done, everything is visible or stamped on your boarding pass. And whenever you want to know more information, if you get confused at which gate I have to go and is my flight is on time, you can look around. You can look to the visual indicators which are placed in your work area, and they will give you the required information. So the ticket, the boarding pass is a media of taking you through various steps. The workflow is also well defined. It is defined that you need to go through security check, immigration, etc., and this boarding pass will facilitate you throughout the journey. Now, the philosophy of this pull-based scheduling is actually the just-in-time. We focus on that we don't build the feature till the time it is not needed by the customer, and we don't write the specification till the time there is someone there to do the development. Now again, focus on last responsible movement. If I keep writing a lot of specification and nobody is there to develop it, whenever somebody pick that particular specification for development, he will ask 10 questions. And if the time delay between writing the specification and picking the development is long, the situation might have already changed, or you might have already forgotten what you have written. So we only write the specification where someone is there to code it. We only code the part of the product where someone is there to test it. and again we only test which somebody can deploy it and customer can consume it. So in a way, the previous slides this was depicting a flow of work through various stages. We ensure that these stages pick the work just in time. We don't anticipate, and we should avoid a situation where we have a one stage is having long piles of code where they are done with the task but the next stage is unable to pick it. Now this principle can be applied using Kanban. Kanban is nothing, it's just a visual card. So the boards which we see at airport or the board which we see at a car servicing organization, where we can see that where is my given car is, at which stage it all is Kanban board. Now if we implement this thing in our development environment, there was a question that how can we motivate the team. Motivation can only be achieved, a self-organizing team can only be built if we make these things visible. We need to have a clear reflection of what's going on inside the team. And there is a term which is called visual control in Lean, and in agile based software development we use the term information radiator for that. Now information radiator or a visual controls are following the philosophy of management by sight. So you look at the work environment and you know where are the blockages. So this visual environment, this work environment should be able to communicate what's going on. Like if you have a Kanban board, the board which I was depicting on a slide where we were picking some items and we were moving from one stage to another, that board could be made visible to the complete team, to the complete stakeholder. So whoever comes to your work environment can identify what's going on, which ticket is in trouble, where you have a dependency requirement and that is why it has become red, and what progress you have made, how many items have been moved from a ready stage to a complete stage or to a done stage. And if there is any so that the visual indicators should be able to expose the problem as well as they should be able to expose the progress. Now having these kind of visual controls will make your team self-directing or self-managed. Some of the examples which you can use for your visual control is you may have a list of problems, maybe you have a visual control or a visible list which shows that what all items needs refactoring, what all items need an attention from management or a team leader, because they are the things which a team could not resolve on their own. So it could be looked as an impediment list. Now especially for software development, just by following the card-based approach may not work, and you may need some layer of collaboration among yourself, and a daily stand-up meeting could add a good value. You may meet daily or regularly, maybe at a frequency, maybe twice a day depending upon your work environment, but once in a day for 15 minutes is usually recommended for most of the environment, and where whoever is involved in your team is discussing about the progress and the problem which they are facing in their work environment. And this meeting can also help us in preserving the learning. So here we are at our second Q&A break. Just shoot your queries, and this is the primary, like whatever related to previous two segments can be discussed here. Shilanga, I am audible, na?
Yes, the screen actually, I'm also facing some problem. The screen was actually stuck for a little while. I'll just
Okay.
post the last poll.
Okay. Just a sec. Last poll, don't post it now. Just send me the queries if you have any.
Sure, I will do that.
Yeah, the poll we will take it post Q&A break.
All right, I've started sending you some.
Okay, so now there was a first query that what is the difference between pull scheduling and agile backlog? Uh, both the things are same. Actually, the agile based planning, the way we do planning in agile is using pull based scheduling as a mechanism. So you can think like pull based scheduling is a primary funda, and on that basis of principle, agile plannings are done. So in Scrum we talk about that we pull the work from a product backlog. So you may have a long list of work which a team pulls it on the basis of the capacity they have. Okay, the second question, how push and pull schedule for preventive maintenance activity in IT infrastructure and application services. Now, for we should not think that if we are following a pull-based scheduling, we are not making the master plan. You may still make the master plan. You may still have some targets talking about that month on month you intend to do it these things, but you don't make a detailed activity plan for the long duration. So that is how these two schedulings are different. So you do have a goal, but for a given month, you identify your own list of activities. The team as well as project manager both collaborate together, and they identify their list of activities and they work on it. So especially for maintaining the things, preventive or corrective maintenance related environment, visualizing the work and workflow is relatively feasible, more feasible than other industry, and it can add a good value because things are visible to the organization as well as the team members. Okay, the next question I'm picking is, for such methodology, is it required to have some experienced team, as the freshers are not sure what are the prerequisites of the next card? Now, a very valid question. Now, see, as I was giving an example of airport, so it is expected that people should be knowing that what work they have to apply on a given task. So we need to have a proper training and facilitation process where they know that what has to be done if they get X work in their bucket. So by way of connecting people with the experienced resources, or by way of providing training, we can achieve this stage. If you have many freshers in the team, then it might be advisable that you pair them with an experienced people till the time they start learning it. But we have seen many times that people learn quickly. The only problem usually we face is, as a manager, we think that they won't be able to figure it out, and we try to help them a lot. If we really give them the goal becomes clear that they have to figure it out their own, you can find the way. Now, the second question, in the pull-based system, how can the manager measure the productivity of a team member? Is it possible for a team member, possible that a team member pull majority of a given team member pulls a majority of the task? Now, good question. When we spoke about the Kanban board, the work, whoever is picking that board is putting the stamp of his or her name on that work. So we have a way of identifying who is picking what quantity of work. So rather than, maybe we don't talk about a very defined matrix that we look at the end of the month, we try to identify how many work item X person has closed or X person has worked on, but definitely as an agile coach or as a project manager, we need to keep an eye on that who is not yet able to pick a good amount of or a required amount of work from the pipeline or from the queue, because we need to help that individual so he become intelligent enough or he becomes capable enough to contribute for the development process. So you can easily identify, because the task is expected to have a stamp or a name assigned, whoever is working on it, and that is also quite transparently visible. Now, the pull-based system itself is coming with a monitoring mechanism. So if you do that 15-minute meeting, if you keep the work visible to all, your workforce, your team member will face good amount of peer pressure, because everybody is aware that who is working on what and how much work you are pushing it to the second stage. So this kind of transparency does bring good amount of self-managed behavior in the team members. Okay, I think few more.
Yeah. Would you want to answer a few more now, or keep them?
Yeah. We do have few more minutes, and let me just try last one maybe.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, is a pull-based system, how can the manager measure the progress? Okay, this is done. Should the pull-based scheduling creates a lot of unfinished tasks? At what task should be broken down to a pull scheduling to maximize the work finished and not the pending task? Now, actually, this is the primary focus. The primary focus of pull-based scheduling is not to create high work in progress inventories. The visualization of a task board, the complete monitoring system is on the basis of end-to-end time. It is not based on that I have started work and then I have holded it because there is no one to test it. So we should ensure that things are moving quickly in the development process. Okay, so a quick question has come that what are the top 3 advantages of pull system over push system? Is there any saving in resources? Yeah, first, the manager is not that much involved. So less manager involvement, less the confusion, because the worker is not waiting a manager's instruction to identify what he should be doing next. Whenever things are changing, it's the responsibility of the worker to identify what should be done next. So that is the primary advantage of overall efficiency. The second advantage which you can look at is that we know that detailed plans never survive with the reality, with the contact with the reality. So better we make a top level summary plans and leave the details to be figured out by the team member. So as a project manager, you don't spend time in doing something which you are not that efficient of, because changing situation and the detail level instructions is something which team can identify on their own. So this is like a primary driver for a pull-based system, and you will realize that most of the time you are following it, but you may not be having structured approach of following. The manager may be just telling that, okay, these are the 3 possible things you can do, and if this doesn't work, take the next one. So we use a lot of judgment. Here we are trying to say is that make it more structured. Okay, now the final question for this session is that when the team is mix of freshers and experienced worker, do we still recommend a pull-based scheduling over a push-based scheduling? Now, see, it has less to do with the efficiency of workers. It is a more to do with how do we manage work. See, if your workers are, say, having majority of freshers, manager may need to intervene again and again because they may keep raising the problems initially. Even in a pull-based system also, they may keep getting stuck, and even looking at a visual indicator, they may not find a solution. So example, if the person is going via plane first time, he may find many confusing thing on an airport, and he keep contacting to the people who can help them to identify where he should go. But gradually they should learn, and the majority of people who have already learned, you don't give instruction to them. So initially, when you have less experienced people as a leader, you may attach them with an experienced person, or you may handhold them throughout the process, but gradually they should become self-organized. And that is most of us who travel via plane, we don't ask where this particular gate number is, we just figure it out. So a final segment, Shilanga, you can launch a poll. I just wanted to know that how many of you have heard about a PMI-ACP certification. It's a certification from PMI. So in the next segment, I just want to give a brief introduction of PMI-ACP. I'll launch a poll, and then we quickly move to the next segment.
I'll launch the poll quickly. Alright, I'll close the poll now. Do you
Yeah,
want me to share the answer with you now?
yeah. Just tell me how many percentage of the people are aware of PMI-ACP certification?
56% says yes, 45% says no.
Okay, so just quick introduction, maybe it will not take more than 5 minutes, about this PMI-ACP certification. It's a certification by PMI for agile practitioners, and it is a certificate which validates or which provides a mechanism to demonstrate that you are good with agile tools and techniques and knowledge areas. Now, there are some eligibility conditions. So in order to take a PMI-ACP certification, you should have 1500 hours or 8 months of agile experience. So it's not for the people who are just very new to the agile. If you have been working on agile based environment and you have been working on a project environment, so you should be having 1 year experience of projects and 8 months experience of agile based project management, then you are eligible to take this particular certification exam. This particular certification is a bit different from the Scrum certifications, because Scrum certification are primarily focused on one method, one most popular process of agile, which is Scrum. But PMI-ACP has a wider area to cover. It talks about agile fundamentals. It covers a good amount of lean and extreme programming, and it also talks about various organization level concepts like risk management, managing the PMO level governance. So the content outline is quite wider than the specific process certificate. One has to attend 21 contact hours of training in order to become eligible for PMI-ACP certification. And you can go and give the exam in various Prometric centers. It's a certificate by PMI, which is more known for project management PMP certification, but they do have a certification for Agile. And this particular session will give you an opportunity to earn one PDU, a professional development unit. You can just note down this code in the same in the thread of that expert speak. I have also posted this particular code, so if you go back to and check the comments, you can get activity code, and you can get a one PDU for PMP, PMI-ACP, or PMI schedule management SP certificate. Final break before we close, and I think we are in time. So any query if you have, please shoot them up. Maybe on
Yes.
PMI-ACP or something left over.
Yes, Akit. I'll share some more questions. We have around 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I have started sending you some questions.
Okay. Yes, I can see it. Okay, how to apply Kanban in a support project? Actually, the support projects are an ideal place to implement Kanban. How? Because here you don't even have to do the first level of scheduling or a first level of planning. You can identify your various stages, for example, like analysis stage for a given ticket, and development stage for the ticket, and then testing and deployment. So you can identify various stages for your ticket, and as per these stages, you keep moving the work. The simple thing is that you make this work visible. So first you need to identify that my support work moves through 3 stages. So you visualize the workflow, and in this particular workflow, we also visualize the work. At given point of time, how much work is pending at a given stage, and what is the capacity, work in progress capacity, WIP limit of various stages. So after making these 3 things visible, we need to ensure that we allocate work as per the WIP limit of a given stage, and we focus on that the cycle time from getting request till delivery is less, rather than keeping things pending in between. Just by making these things visible, your support process can be managed. So Okay, let me pick few more. Just a sec. I am. Okay, scheduling as a lean Kanban and Scrum. What is the difference between pull scheduling as in lean Kanban and Scrum? So the concept of pull scheduling is same. The only difference which you can think of is that in a Scrum, since it's a process for doing new product development primarily, where you have a bunch of work, then we need to do a first level of planning meeting before we can identify that how much element we can commit to for a given iteration. If we are implementing on a Kanban or a support environment, we may not need that planning meeting because work is always coming and going. So you may think like a factory where you are just available. Whenever you get a work, you work on it and you move it to the next stage. So a pull scheduling is an idea where we just don't give a detailed instruction to a team, but let the team to figure out what they have to do on the basis of work available. So we make work and workflow visible. And in lean based Kanban software development approach as well as in Scrum, we apply the same principle. Okay, how can a traditional development be transferred to a agile development method? So that could be a bigger question, that how can we move a traditional development project into a agile based development project. But as far as if I limit it to a pull based or a push based scheduling, even the traditional projects can follow a pull based planning. It has nothing to do that it has to be an agile based project to follow a pull based thing. Pull is a concept. So we talk about that even in a traditional project. For example, if you are moving through it, you have to develop set of features in a given duration, rather than making a detailed activity plan and scheduling that to a developers. You can just tell them that these are the 5 features should be finished in this particular month, and let the development team identify that what all tasks they have to do, and they let them switch the things as and when there is a need. This is another question, that how can we manage a long-term plan where we have a requirement changes very dynamically. Now, interesting thing, so if we have a long-term plan, we do need a roadmap. We do need a top-level master plan, and then inside that master plan, we may have this kind of a pull-based scheduling where we don't allocate work to the team member. So it's kind of a progressive elaboration, which is also called a rolling wave planning. We start with a long-term plan. We talk about that in a first given release. So your complete project duration could be a 1 year. Inside that 1 year, we plan that in the first 3 months, we would be producing X amount of features. So that is your first planning. And this is how we are going to finish the 1 year work. Inside that 3 months, you may have further small units and say three iterations. And inside that particular iteration, you may provide a team a flexibility to pick the work as they feel comfortable with. So you need to mix a long-term planning or a master plan along with short-term plans which are dynamic. And ideally they should, and you as a project manager should ensure that both these remain in sync. So if you learn something through this short planning, you can include it into your master plan also. Okay, how much time do we have, Shilanga?
I think we have almost, yeah, we have reached our scheduled time to wrap up the session.
Okay.
It's 4 o'clock, but you can take up one last question if you want.
Okay, so I'm taking the one last question. Thank you. The question is that in the current setup, it is more of a balancing act between building competency and time to delivery. Same team has to work on more than one project at any given point in time. I am flexible in terms of schedules. Can I achieve the business goals through Kanban? If yes, how can we do it? Do I have to provide to put a job on hold visually when I prioritize other jobs and then return the jobs on hold job? Very well. So you yourself have given me the solution. Since the things are very dynamic, if we can just make the work environment transparent, so if we can place the visual controls and tell declare our WIP limit. So even if you are working on more than one project, but you can declare that this development team can take only 5 tasks in a day. And if they are exhausted with this WIP, the simple principle is that we should not give more tasks till the time this work is moved to the next stage, because we focus on keeping the work in progress or a inventory to the bare minimum. So if we are facing a challenge with the multiple priorities, visualizing the workflow and visualizing the work to the management, to the team member, can give a good amount of benefit for your problem, and you yourself have given the solution. So yes, definitely this is the way to work on. Okay, Shilanga, I am done with the Q&As, and let me just, this is the final slide, and here are my contact details. You can connect me through LinkedIn. So the Techgig page is having my LinkedIn profile, so you can just reach it through me. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about a lot on project management, PMP and PMI-ACP. So you may want to follow our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Eisenbridge. And I do have a LinkedIn group for PMP as well as PMI-ACP certifications. So, and I am like primarily as of now I am working as a trainer and coach for various project management trainings. Thanks for joining in. I'm done with this. Shnanga.
Thank you so much, Saket, for giving this really wonderful presentation and making it very lively and interactive throughout by throwing up the poll questions and taking questions during the session. Um, really great to see our participation today. We saw a lot of attendees joining in today, so that was wonderful. And thank you once again for taking time out. Thanks to all the attendees for taking time out from your very busy schedule on a weekday afternoon and joining in and making this webinar fair success. The recording for today's session will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow afternoon. So I believe there was a little connectivity issue during the webinar today. So just in case if you want to revisit the session and go through the entire presentation once again, it will be up on techgig.com by tomorrow afternoon. Thanks once again, Saket, and have a great day
Welcome.
ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.